Hey, how's it going? Today I want to talk about Phaseplant. Specifically, I want to talk about making polysynths. Phaseplant is an incredible tool for making sounds that can sound pretty analog. So I'm going to go into how to make a patch that sounds analog, how to make a patch that sounds really thick, and a patch that is great for using as a polysynth. So let's get right into Ableton Live. Okay, so here I have our friend Phaseplant. Now, this is a simple saw wave. So the first thing we want to do is we want to increase the polyphony to like 8. 8 voices is enough to get really fat chords like this. And by default we have analog. See, this is called analog, and if you look, you can see the saw has little imperfections. So one thing I've noticed with the saw is that the phase is kind of always running. I'm not sure if it resets the phase every time you trigger a note, but regardless, first thing I'm going to do is just increase the release time here. And I'm also going to give it a little bit of attack and a little bit of decay. So the first technique I'm going to show here is doing work in a group and then getting that work done and then duplicating the group. So the first thing I'm going to want to do to make this a little more analog is I'm going to emulate a little bit of drift in the oscillator tuning. So I'm going to get a random modulator, turn the smooth all the way up, turn the speed quite fast, and then I'm going to map this random to the tuning. So I'm going to right click on the semi-tuning, and let's just go for, let's try 0.5. I was able to enter that value by right-clicking instead of just left-clicking and dragging to try to attenuate the amount. You can right-click and then type the value in. So now let's listen to this. So that is the sound I'm looking for. The pitch is unstable, but it's a little bit too much. Like, let's listen to what that sounds like playing chords. So we can attenuate this further with this slider to the right of the LFO here. So very subtle amount of instability in the pitch is going to make it sound more analog, because analog oscillators are not perfectly stable. They have a little bit of drift. All right, so we're on the right track. Now we're going to build a multi-stage kind of multi-oscillator thing. So let's take this, and I'm going to hold my control key and then click the top here and duplicate the entire group twice. So now we have 3 oscillators here. And if I just play it like this, it's just louder. So what I'm going to want to do is with this bottom group, I'm going to tune this one down slightly. $0.12. I'm going to tune the other one up. So this first oscillator, I'm going to tune it up. Very thick. One thing we can do to thicken this up more and make it sound more analog is give each oscillator its own random that's running at a slightly different rate. So I'm going to delete the automation or the modulation coming from this and then duplicate this, and then I am going to do the same thing where let's do 0.5. And then right here for this one, map it to this one. 0.5. And then I'm just going to change the speed slightly on these. All right, we're getting somewhere. We're thickening it up. So with this top oscillator, I'm going to call this right. This middle one, I'm going to call it center. And this, this middle one, center. Top one, right. Bottom one, left. All right, so I'm going to start to pan these. So I'm going to pan this one left. And the top one I'm going to pan right. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to collapse these randoms now. And let's get some other types of drift going on. So you can map multiple things to the same source in Phaseplant, which is one of the most powerful things about it. I'm going to take a slower sine wave LFO like this, and I'm just going to go 0.5 and give this some slow vibrato. All right, so there's our first one. I'm going to duplicate this LFO twice and then just map each LFO to its respective oscillator. And then I'm just going to change the speed of these slightly. One's 45, one's 44, one's 43. So now they're all wobbling at a slightly different speed, and this is just going to give it a little more thickness, very subtle thickness. Okay, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's give each one its own low-pass filter. So I'm going to insert a filter by holding Command. That'll allow you to insert a filter between the output and the oscillator. And same idea here. Let's get an envelope here. And let's just give a bit of attack here to that filter cutoff and a bit of decay, long decay and long release. So let's hear what that sounds like on a bit of this cutoff. Cool. So again, I'm just going to duplicate this, change it slightly, and map it to this one. Duplicate it, change it slightly, and then map it to this one. Now we have a little bit more thickness because everything is slightly different. So just softening the tops of those saws. Cool, so that's a pretty thick polysynth right there. So let's have a master envelope that kind of controls everything slightly. That's a good thing to have in most patches. So let's get an LFO out, put it on unipolar one-shot mode, which effectively turns it into an envelope without a release stage. And then let's make it really slow. So this envelope's going to kind of start up higher, go high, and then come back down. And I'm going to use this to control the amount of some of these LFOs we have going over here. So with this random, maybe have that control it a little bit. Have it control this one's amount a little bit. Maybe have it control this one a little bit. And then with these other LFOs, have it control this one. This one. I think that's it, right? Is that all of them? Yeah, so now it'll get a little bit more out of tune right off the bat and then come slide into tune more. I'm going to make sure that glides off. All right. So just to make it sound a little more analog, let's add a little bit of distortion. Let's go with Saturator, and then let's turn the drive down to 0%, fuzz to 0%, and let's just kind of get a subtle distortion going on. Great. Sounds like a Juno. Sounds like a freaking Juno main. One thing we can experiment as well is mixing saws and squares. So let's duplicate this oscillator here, turn it to a square, duplicate it, turn it to a square, duplicate it, turn it to a square. And now we have this. So much more of a hollow sound. We could maybe mix that in slightly. could detune the squares a little bit. Nice. Yeah, that's sounding really, really thick, really fat. Another thing is, you know, the analog oscillators, they have sync, so we could maybe dial in some different sync values. Cool. Yeah, so that just gives it some more uniqueness, you know, not such a basic patch. It could be cool to have a fourth group, and maybe this group is just sturdy, and a sub-oscillator that is pitched down. So now we have a very sturdy, add an output. Now we have a very sturdy saw wave that's just on the bottom, and this is just holding down the fort. I like the sound of a sub square wave. That's typically what is done in analog synths. You have a sub pulse square wave. You can change the pulse width here. Turn down the output a little bit. Some other effects that you can add to a polysynth to make it kind of sound a bit richer is chorus. And then the last thing that you're always going to want to add to make things sound analog is a separate noise oscillator. So below this, let's put another group, put a noise, put another output, and then actually also put a filter, low pass, and another filter, high pass, so that we can get a variable band pass filter going on. And let's just blend this in. can kind of blend that into taste. I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to turn this down a bit more. Yeah, so that's your basic analog style subtractive polysynth setup. Classic, like you would find in a Juno, like you would find in some of the old Moog synthesizers. And obviously it's not going to sound like exactly like a Moog. But if you wanted to sound a bit more like a Moog, before this distortion we could put a ladder filter and then kind of map the mod wheel to the cutoff. That way when you're playing, could have this master curve also modulate that a bit. Yeah, I like how that filter sounds. That filter sounds nice. Let's see, what else can we add here? You know, I've never actually used this nonlinear filter. Why is it nonlinear? Saturator. Oh, it's a metallic, digital, fuzzy, warm. Let's try this warm. Ooh, did they just add this? I've never seen this. Oh, wow. Look at all the little wiggles. Ooh, that's a vibe. That is a vibe. Let's put that on lane 2 and then just mix it in. Yeah, I like that. Can drive it even more and then just kind of blend it in even more. Yeah, cool. Let's see what else. You know, a flanger. Flanger could be cool. It's all right. I'm going to leave it off for now. There's this other type of chorus kind of thing that they have here called the ensemble also, right here, and it kind of splits it into 6 voices or up to 16 voices. Let's try 16 voices and just spread them crazy amounts, detune them, symmetric, random, it's just randomly going to pan around, and then let's have the original blended in. Yeah, that's cool, but it sounds very digital, so I'm gonna leave it off. So I think that does it for this patch for now. There's always more you can add to a patch, especially in Phaseplant. We didn't even use any macros, but I just wanted to show the basic concept of like detuning and analog drift emulation and stuff like that. So let me go back to my main scene. And thank you for watching. I'm Sephiros. Until next time, thanks for watching again. I already said that, but yeah, thanks for watching. You follow me on socials, follow me on Patreon, like, subscribe, share this with any producer friends that you have. I'm going to be keeping these Phaseplant tutorials coming. I love this synth. I'm going to focus in on Phaseplant because I think it's one of the best synths. It's very affordable. It's just all around the best thing, in my opinion. Like, I love every synth, but there's some very unique things about Phaseplant that I still have yet to fully dive into. So, until next time, thanks for watching.